In today's fast-paced world, we often encounter people who seem trustworthy, friendly, and well-meaning. But what happens when you realize that someone's intentions may not be as pure as they appear? What if you've been investing time and energy in a relationship that's draining you, or worse, holding you back? In this video, we're going to dive deep into the types of individuals who, despite their charming exterior, don't truly deserve your trust and respect. We'll uncover how to recognize these people and how to protect your mental health and well-being from their toxic influence. Stay with us as we explore how to navigate these complex relationships with wisdom and discernment. 1. The manipulative individual. We've all encountered that person who seems to always know exactly what to say, doesn't they? They're charming, kind, and seemingly always there when you need them. But if you look closer, something feels off. Their words often don't match their actions, and you start noticing small inconsistencies. They promise the world but deliver nothing. Manipulative people are experts at weaving stories that pull at your heartstrings, creating narratives that make you feel guilty, or even question your own judgment. Take, for example, a friend who constantly asks for your help with their problems, yet when you're in need, they're nowhere to be found. At first, it might seem innocent, after all, they're your friend, right? But over time, you begin to realize they're only around when it benefits them. And when you need support, they're silent. This is manipulation. They use your kindness, your trust, and your emotions for their own gain. So how do we deal with this? The key is setting firm boundaries. It's not easy, especially when the manipulator is someone close to you, but it's necessary. Start questioning inconsistencies in their behavior and stories. If they make promises they don't keep or turn every conversation into a way to manipulate your emotions, don't just brush it off. Listen to your gut. Don't ignore the red flags. Sometimes, the best course of action is to cut ties entirely. It may sound harsh, but protecting your mental health is more important than holding on to a toxic relationship. Remember, a manipulator will always try to guilt you into believing it's your responsibility to fix things, but it's not. If you feel drained or confused after interactions, it's a sign. It's okay to walk away. In the words of Stoic philosophy, we control what we can, our actions and reactions, but we must also recognize when to step back. Trust is fragile, and once it's broken by manipulation, it's nearly impossible to rebuild. Be discerning about who you let into your life, because true peace comes from surrounding yourself with people who value you as much as you value yourself. 2. The Perpetual Critic. We all know that one person who seems to have a critique for everything, your choices, your dreams, even the way you tie your shoelaces. It feels like nothing you do is ever good enough for them. These perpetual critics are relentless, and their negativity can be exhausting. But here's the thing, their constant fault-finding often says more about them than it does about you. Imagine sharing your excitement about a new project with someone, only to hear, "Are you sure you can pull that off?" or "That sounds risky." At first, you might brush it off as concern, but over time, the pattern becomes clear. Their critiques rarely offer solutions or encouragement, they're just there to tear you down. This behavior often stems from their own insecurities. By pointing out flaws in others, they feel momentarily better about themselves. So, how do you navigate this storm of negativity? Start by distinguishing between constructive and destructive criticism. Constructive criticism aims to help you grow, it's specific, actionable, and given with kindness. Destructive criticism, on the other hand, is vague, unhelpful, and designed to belittle. When someone critiques you, ask yourself, is this feedback meant to help me, or is it rooted in their own issues? Setting boundaries is essential. If someone constantly undermines your confidence, it's okay to distance yourself. Let them know, calmly but firmly, that while you're open to helpful advice, unnecessary negativity isn't welcome. For example, if they criticize your decisions without offering solutions, you can say, "I appreciate your perspective, but I'd rather focus on finding ways to make this work." Remember, the Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control, our reactions and mindset. You can't control a critic's words, but you can control how much weight you give them. Protect your self-esteem by not internalizing their negativity. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, not those who constantly pull you down. Ultimately, the Perpetual Critic offers a powerful lesson in resilience. By learning to filter out their noise and focus on your own path, you reclaim your power. You don't need everyone's approval, just your own confidence and clarity in what you're doing. And that, my friend, is unshakable strength. 3. The Fair Weather Friend. We've all had those friends who are the life of the party, always there to celebrate the good times, to laugh, to dance, to make memories. They're the ones who are all smiles during the celebrations, the trips, the success stories. But when the storm hits, when life gets tough, when you're struggling with personal challenges, or facing a crisis, they suddenly vanish. No texts, no calls, no offers of help. It's like they were never there. It's painful, isn't it? You share your joys with them, but when you share your burdens, they disappear into thin air. It leaves you feeling not just abandoned but confused. Did they ever really care, or were they just enjoying the ride while things were easy? This is the classic behavior of the fair weather friend. Their loyalty is as temporary as the weather. They show up when the sun is shining but retreat when the clouds roll in. Here's the thing, we have to remember that real friendships are built on trust and mutual support, not just good times. A true friend is the one who stands by your side when the world feels heavy, not just when it's light. And that's where the danger of fair weather friends lies. They're great when everything is going well, but they aren't there when you need them the most. So, how do you handle them? The best approach is to enjoy their company during the good times, but don't expect emotional support when life gets hard. Appreciate the joy they bring, but understand that their capacity for deeper, more supportive friendship might be limited. And when it comes to your personal struggles, seek out those who show up even when things aren't easy. In the Stoic tradition, we're taught to focus on our inner strength and not place our emotional well-being in the hands of others. The fair weather friend teaches us the importance of self-reliance and of surrounding ourselves with people who offer consistent loyalty, not just when it's convenient. So, while it's okay to enjoy the good times with them, don't let your heart be fully invested in someone who's only there when it's comfortable for them. True friends show up in both sunshine and storms, and it's these people who truly deserve a place in your life. 4. The Gossip Monger. We've all met them, the ones who seem to know everything about everyone. They're always ready to spill the latest news, often before it's even true. The Gossip Monger thrives on unverified stories, weaving a web of hearsay and rumors, constantly talking about others behind their backs. The latest scandal, the juicy details, they spread it all, whether it's true or not. But the real problem is not just the gossip itself, but the way it feeds into insecurity, drama, and division. Have you ever been caught in one of these conversations? You start with an innocent chat, but somehow it turns into a gossip session. They start talking about a mutual friend, or a colleague, or even a family member, exposing their flaws or mistakes for everyone to hear. Maybe you've even felt pressured to join in, or worse, you've been on the receiving end of one of their stories. But here's the thing, gossip is not just harmless fun. It's toxic. It creates division, mistrust, and a false sense of superiority for the person doing the talking. And all too often, what's said about someone in private is used to tear them down, regardless of whether it's true. So, how do you deal with the gossip monger? The key is simple, don't engage. Avoid fueling their fire. If someone starts gossiping around you, don't add to it, don't ask for more details, and certainly don't share your own personal stories with them. People who thrive on gossip love hearing about your life, so they can use it to fuel their narratives. Keep your personal matters to yourself, and never forget that what you say to them might be used to paint a negative picture of you behind your back. If the conversation veers into gossip, take control. Gently steer the discussion to a more positive or constructive topic. Redirect the conversation to something uplifting or productive, like a shared project, a new book, or an inspiring experience. If they push back, don't be afraid to excuse yourself from the conversation. Your peace of mind is worth more than indulging in idle talk. Remember, in Stoicism, we're encouraged to focus on the things that truly matter, our actions, our virtues, and the relationships that are built on trust and respect. Gossip is none of those things. It's a distraction, a toxic force that pulls us away from our higher purpose. The Gossip Monger teaches us to maintain our integrity, to avoid spreading negativity, and to build our lives on conversations that uplift and inspire, not tear others down. So, the next time you find yourself around a Gossip Monger, don't get pulled into their storm of negativity. Stand firm in your values, keep your personal life to yourself, and remember that true strength lies in protecting your peace and focusing on what truly matters. 5. The Flatterer. The Flatterer, charming, smooth, and always ready with a compliment. You look amazing today. That idea is brilliant. Their words flow like honey, so sweet and convincing, you might even start to believe they really admire you. At first, it feels great, doesn't it? Who doesn't love a little praise, especially when it's delivered with such finesse? But here's the catch: while their words may sound sincere, they're often just a well-crafted strategy to manipulate you or get something in return. Think about it, have you ever received a compliment that just didn't feel right? Maybe it was too much, too fast, or just a bit off. It's like when someone who doesn't really know you suddenly starts calling you amazing for doing something you know isn't all that extraordinary. It feels more like an attempt to win you over, to get into your good books. The flatterer isn't interested in genuinely celebrating your success or your strengths. They're interested in what they can gain from you, whether that's your trust, your loyalty, or just a favor down the line. To deal with the flatterer, the first step is to stay grounded. Don't let their smooth words cloud your judgment or inflate your ego. Compliments feel good, but they shouldn't be your gauge for self-worth. A true friend or colleague will offer praise that feels earned and sincere, not over the top or excessive. So, when you receive compliments from someone who's known for flattering, take a moment to pause. Is this person being genuine, or is there an agenda behind their praise? Next, keep a healthy level of skepticism. Flattery often comes with strings attached. They want something from you, whether it's your attention, approval, or a favor. Pay attention to their actions, not just their words. Are they consistent? Do they follow through on their promises, or are they just saying what you want to hear in the moment? Actions always speak louder than words. If they're not showing the same enthusiasm or respect in other areas of your relationship, those compliments might be nothing more than a tactic to manipulate. In Stoicism, we're reminded that our self-worth isn't determined by external validation. The flatterer is a reminder of this. Instead of seeking approval from others, we should build our confidence from within, anchored in our own values and virtues. By doing this, we protect ourselves from being swayed by empty praise and focus on what truly matters: our integrity, our actions, and the relationships that are built on honesty and mutual respect. So, the next time you encounter the flatterer, don't get caught in their charm. Appreciate the compliment if it feels sincere, but stay grounded in who you are. Watch how they act, not just what they say. And remember, real respect is earned, not bought with words. 6. The victim. We've all encountered them, the person who always seems to be caught in a whirlwind of misfortune. No matter what happens, they're always on the losing end. Life, people, the universe itself seems to conspire against them. If only this hadn't happened, they say, if only that person didn't do this to me. And with every conversation, the narrative is the same: poor them, constantly wronged, helpless in a world that's unfair. At first, it's easy to feel sympathy. After all, life can be tough, and sometimes we all need someone to vent to. But with the victim, there's a pattern that quickly becomes apparent. It's not just a single bad day or event, they make their entire identity about being the underdog. Every conversation revolves around their struggles, their setbacks, and how everyone else is to blame. They rarely ask themselves, what could I have done differently? Instead, they stay stuck in a cycle of complaining, blaming, and waiting for others to fix things for them. You've probably had a friend like this. Every time you catch up, they talk about their problems, whether it's their boss, their family, or some random situation. You listen, offer advice, and try to empathize. But eventually, you start to feel drained. They never seem to make any real changes. They don't try to take responsibility for their actions or learn from the past. They just repeat the same grievances, over and over again, always with an external excuse. This constant negativity can slowly begin to affect your own mindset. You start to feel like you're carrying their emotional baggage, even though you never signed up for it. So, how do we deal with the victim? First, it's important to offer support, but with boundaries. We all need compassion, but there's a difference between being there for someone and getting pulled into their drama. You can listen, empathize, and offer advice, but don't let their victimhood become your problem. Encourage them to take responsibility for their part in the situation. Ask them questions like, what can you do to improve this, or what's within your control here? This might sound harsh, but it's the key to helping them break free from the cycle of blame and helplessness. In Stoic philosophy, we're taught that while we can't control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. The victim doesn't grasp this idea, they constantly wait for the world to change, rather than adjusting their own mindset. As a Stoic, it's essential to remember that we're responsible for our actions, our attitudes, and our responses. We can empathize with the victim, but we shouldn't let their negativity affect our own peace of mind. We're not obligated to fix their problems, but we can guide them toward understanding that true power lies in taking control of their own lives. So, the next time you find yourself in the presence of a victim, listen with empathy, but don't get caught in their web of blame. Encourage them to take ownership of their choices and steer them toward self-reflection. Protect your own energy, and remind them that the power to change is in their hands. After all, life doesn't happen to us, it happens with us, and the path to true empowerment begins with personal responsibility. 7. The Envious Individual. Have you ever shared a personal achievement, maybe a promotion, an exciting project, or a new milestone, and noticed the person you're telling reacts with something that feels off? They might offer a backhanded compliment, or their congratulations might have a hint of bitterness. The envy is subtle, but it's there. It's like they're happy for you, but not really. This is the envious individual. Envy is a sneaky emotion. It doesn't always announce itself loudly. Instead, it lurks quietly beneath the surface, often disguised as fake admiration or even passive-aggressive remarks. The envious person might not outright show anger, but when your success is involved, you can feel that undertone of resentment. It's almost like your achievements, instead of being celebrated, shine a spotlight on their own insecurities. They may say things like, "Oh, that's nice. I guess I could have done that too, if only." They might not even realize they're doing it, but their envy is unmistakable. The danger with envy is that it can erode your sense of accomplishment. It can make you feel like maybe you don't deserve your success, or that you're somehow wrong for shining too brightly. The envious individual wants you to shrink, to make yourself smaller so their discomfort with your success doesn't feel so big. It's easy to internalize their negative reactions and start questioning your worth or whether you should have kept your good news to yourself. So, how do we deal with envy? The key is to be mindful of who we share our achievements with. We don't have to hide our success, but we do have to be aware of the energy of the people we share it with. If someone repeatedly downplays your accomplishments or seems to subtly undermine your achievements, it's okay to limit how much you open up to them. You don't need to shrink your joy for their comfort. Protecting your self-worth means not letting someone else's envy affect how you see yourself. In Stoic philosophy, we are encouraged to focus on our own path and not be swayed by the negative emotions of others. Envy is about their inner turmoil, not a true reflection of your worth. When we share our successes, we should do so without needing validation from others. Your achievements are a reflection of your hard work and dedication, and no one's envy can take that away from you, unless you let it. The next time you find yourself around someone who seems envious, remember that their feelings are theirs to own, not yours to carry. Celebrate your successes, but don't let the weight of someone else's jealousy diminish your joy. After all, you've earned it, and no one's envy can take that away. Keep shining. 8. The Judgmental Person. We've all encountered that person who seems to have an opinion about everything, and it's rarely positive. They are quick to label, criticize, and dismiss others without taking a moment to understand their perspectives. They often pride themselves on being realists or truth-tellers, but in reality, their judgments come from a place of rigidity and close-mindedness. Instead of seeing the complexity of a situation, they prefer to simplify things into categories of right and wrong, usually with them on the right side. The judgmental individual tends to focus on the faults of others, often without recognizing their own flaws. They might criticize the way someone dresses, the choices they make, or the lifestyle they lead, without considering that everyone has different experiences, values, and circumstances. And when someone dares to disagree, they can become defensive or even dismissive, as if their worldview is the only one that matters. If you've ever found yourself in a conversation with someone who immediately shuts down any differing opinions, you know how draining it can be. What makes the judgmental person particularly difficult to deal with is their tendency to judge others quickly and harshly. This can leave you feeling as if you are constantly under scrutiny, never able to be yourself without fear of being criticized. It's important to remember that their judgments say more about them than about you. Often, their harsh opinions are rooted in their own fears, insecurities, or inability to empathize with someone else's situation. They feel the need to criticize in order to feel superior or to cope with their own inner dissatisfaction. So, how do we navigate interactions with a judgmental person? The first step is to stay grounded in your own values. Don't internalize their harsh opinions. Remember, you are not obligated to accept or even engage with their criticisms, especially when they're unfair or uninformed. If their judgments are hurtful, try to detach emotionally. In Stoicism, we're taught to focus on what is within our control and not to let external judgments disturb our peace. In these situations, it's essential to maintain your emotional resilience and not let their narrow view of the world affect how you see yourself. Finally, while it can be tough, engaging in respectful disagreement can sometimes help. It's not about changing their mind, but rather about standing firm in your beliefs without allowing their negativity to sway you. By approaching these conversations with understanding and respect, you maintain your integrity and show that differing opinions don't need to result in conflict. Ultimately, the judgmental person's opinion of you doesn't define your worth, your character does. So, the next time you face a judgmental person, remember, you don't have to accept their narrow view of the world. Stay true to who you are, engage with kindness, and always protect your peace. Their harsh judgments are theirs to carry, not yours. 9. The Energy Vampire. We've all met people who seem to leave us feeling emotionally drained, as if they've taken a piece of our soul without us even realizing it. These are the energy vampires, individuals who thrive on your emotional resources but rarely offer anything in return. They might be constantly seeking validation, sympathy, or emotional support, but when it's your turn to lean on them, they're nowhere to be found. They leave you feeling exhausted, empty, and sometimes even questioning your own worth. Energy vampires are masters of taking without giving. Their needs are endless, and they often pull you into their emotional turmoil. Whether it's complaining about their life, venting endlessly without ever taking responsibility for their actions, or expecting you to suit their insecurities, their emotional demands can feel like a bottomless pit. You might feel like you're walking on eggshells, constantly trying to meet their needs, but no matter how much you give, it's never enough. This one-sided dynamic can leave you feeling mentally and physically drained, as if you've just run a marathon with no finish line in sight. What makes these individuals so difficult to deal with is their ability to extract energy without reciprocating. They may never seem satisfied, always needing more attention or affection, but never offering the same level of care in return. Over time, their emotional toll can wear you down, leaving you feeling depleted and disconnected from your own needs. It's like giving away your power to someone who's never going to appreciate it. So, how do we protect ourselves from these energy drains? The key is setting clear and firm boundaries. It's not about being cruel or dismissive, but about acknowledging that your emotional health is just as important as theirs. If you're constantly feeling drained after spending time with them, it's a sign that their needs are overwhelming your own. You must be mindful of your limits and protect your energy. Politely but firmly let them know when you need space, and don't be afraid to say no if they ask for more than you can give. In Stoicism, we are reminded that we cannot control the behavior of others, but we can control how we respond. And while empathy and compassion are important, we must also recognize when we're sacrificing too much of ourselves in the process. Being an emotional support for someone is a beautiful act of kindness, but it should never come at the cost of your own mental and emotional well-being. Prioritize your own needs, and don't let an energy vampire suck you dry. If you find yourself constantly feeling drained after spending time with someone, it might be time to limit your interactions and create more space for the relationships that nourish you. Remember, your emotional resources are valuable, and you deserve relationships that are reciprocal, where support is mutual, and energy is shared freely. 10. The self-righteous individual. We've all encountered that person who walks into a room and seems to believe they hold the moral high ground, the ultimate truth, or the only correct way to live. The self-righteous individual thrives on a sense of superiority, whether it's moral, intellectual, or even social. They have a deep-seated need to assert their rightness and often look down on those who dare to think or live differently. Their sense of certainty can make them seem confident, but beneath the surface often lies insecurity masked as unwavering conviction. Interacting with a self-righteous person can feel like walking into a never-ending debate where they always have to win. They may dismiss your views as wrong or uninformed without genuinely listening to your perspective. Whether it's about ethics, politics, lifestyle choices, or even mundane topics, they frame their opinions as absolute truths. This behavior often creates conflict and tension, leaving others feeling unheard, judged, or belittled. Their inability to see the world through a lens other than their own can make meaningful dialogue nearly impossible. The challenge with self-righteous individuals is that their rigidity often closes the door to constructive conversation. Their constant need to prove they're better can erode relationships, leaving little room for mutual understanding or compromise. You might find yourself feeling frustrated or drained after engaging with them, as their judgmental attitude often overshadows any genuine connection. So, how can you navigate relationships with self-righteous individuals? First, recognize that their behavior is not a reflection of your worth or intelligence, it's a projection of their own need for validation. Stay calm and grounded when interacting with them, and don't let their criticisms shake your confidence. When conversations turn into lectures or debates, remind yourself that you're not obligated to agree or defend your views. It's okay to disengage from fruitless arguments that only serve to fuel their ego. Practicing empathy is also essential. While their superiority complex may be off-putting, understanding that it likely stems from insecurity can help you approach them with compassion rather than frustration. That said, empathy doesn't mean tolerating disrespect. Set clear boundaries and protect your emotional space. Engage with them only when necessary, and prioritize interactions with people who respect your values and perspectives. In the spirit of Stoicism, remember that you cannot control the self-righteous person's behavior, but you can control your response to it. Choose to stay true to your own values and remain open to different viewpoints, even if they are not. Their judgments don't define you, and their unwillingness to see beyond their own perspective is not your burden to carry. Ultimately, the self-righteous individual teaches us an important Stoic lesson: to hold firm to our inner peace and not be swayed by the noise of others' egos. Stay confident in your beliefs, practice patience, and surround yourself with those who value open-mindedness and mutual respect. Let their behavior be a reminder to embody the humility they lack. 11. The narcissist. Imagine someone who speaks as if the world revolves around them, whose every conversation is centered on their own achievements, desires, and struggles. This is the narcissist, a person who sees relationships not as a two-way street, but as a tool to feed their own ego. Narcissists are often charming, charismatic, and persuasive, drawing people in with their confident demeanor. But beneath the surface lies a profound lack of empathy and a constant need for validation, as if their worth is only measured by how much attention they can command. In a relationship with a narcissist, you may find yourself feeling like a supporting actor in a story where they are the star. They rarely show interest in your feelings, needs, or experiences unless it serves their own narrative. If they do show affection or kindness, it's often calculated, designed to maintain control or manipulate the dynamic. Their sense of entitlement can be overwhelming, and their inability to empathize with others' struggles or perspectives is frustratingly apparent. What makes the narcissist dangerous is their ability to make you feel as though your contributions or emotions don't matter. Over time, their one-sided interactions can drain your energy, leaving you feeling emotionally neglected, unimportant, or used. Narcissists will rarely, if ever, apologize or take responsibility for their actions. Instead, they often turn the focus back on themselves, expecting others to cater to their needs without offering anything in return. So, how do you deal with a narcissist? First, it's important to maintain emotional distance. Recognize that their behavior is not a reflection of your worth or value, it's a result of their deep insecurities. Don't expect them to show genuine empathy or offer mutual respect. Their inability to understand or care about your emotional needs means that your interactions with them will almost always feel unbalanced and unfulfilling. Set firm boundaries and stick to them. A narcissist will often test limits, pushing to see how much they can take from you without giving back. Be clear about what is acceptable and what is not, and don't be afraid to stand your ground, even if it causes friction. It's also vital to remember that you don't owe them your time, energy, or emotional labor. In some cases, the healthiest option may be to cut ties completely and remove them from your life. While this may be difficult, especially if the narcissist is a close friend or family member, protecting your mental and emotional health should always be your priority. In Stoicism, we are taught to focus on our own virtues and to cultivate an inner peace that is not dependent on others' behavior. This philosophy is especially important when dealing with narcissists, who can disrupt your sense of self with their constant demands and lack of reciprocity. By maintaining your emotional distance and not taking their actions personally, you protect your well-being and maintain control over your own life. Ultimately, the narcissist's presence in your life serves as a valuable reminder to invest your time and energy in relationships that are grounded in mutual respect, empathy, and understanding. It's important to set boundaries with individuals who prioritize their own needs over yours and to recognize that a healthy relationship is one where both people contribute, support, and grow together. Don't let the narcissist's inflated ego diminish your own. Instead, use their behavior as a reminder to stay grounded, practice self-care, and prioritize connections with people who value and uplift you. Now that you've learned about these 9 types of people who may not deserve your trust, it's time to take action. The key is not to judge others, but to protect your peace of mind and prioritize relationships that bring positivity into your life. Trust and respect are the foundations of all healthy connections, and by being mindful of who you allow into your inner circle, you're setting yourself up for stronger, more fulfilling relationships. If you found this video valuable, share it with someone who might need a reminder of how to spot toxic behaviors. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more insights, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going, because by sharing our experiences, we grow together. Take care of yourselves, and remember, your peace of mind is your responsibility. Subscribe now for more videos on personal growth, self-awareness, and building healthier relationships. Stay strong, stay wise, and as always, stay true to yourself.